Hello, I'm John Schneider. As a kid, I'd come to the New Jersey Bayshore to visit my Grandma Vi and take home movies of what I saw. Today I live here, produce video documentaries, and recently shot this boat at night with my video camera. Where is the Jersey Bayshore? Well, let's start with the big picture. It's somewhere in here, part of the universe, and it's definitely part of our world. But it's like no place I've ever experienced. And as soon as we land, I'll show you around. Welcome to Jersey Bayshore Country. What can you do here? Just take a look. Hello everybody, I'm John Schneider. I'm your host for Jersey Bayshore Country, and today we're going to explore the history of Keyport with Tom Gallo. Tom, welcome. How you doing? Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You were born in the area and raised in Keyport as a young man. You're third generation.
Third.
You've got kids that are now fourth generation. You're an author of several books, Henry Hudson Trail. Also, here's one that you've co-authored with some folks on Keyport firefighting, which looks really interesting. And then we've got a couple of other historical books that Tom has brought as well. Cool. Now, what is this? This is Jersey Central Lines. This is something my father probably rode to his high school in Atlantic Highlands.
Well, this is something people more likely remember. Now, these actually came down as far as your town in 1958. They replaced the coal-fired steam. Coal was on its way out as an American fuel. Oil was coming in. The thing with these is they could put 3, 4, 5 of these together, or 2 if the traffic warranted it, and the engineer could just go from this end to this end.
Kind of like a subway.
Unlike the steam engine, which needed a turntable, so these were much more efficient type of an operation.
Very nice. Now, you've got some other train things over here,
yes,
possibly, or trolley things.
If your ticket office was closed, the ticket agent the conductor would sell you a ticket right on the train.
Very nice.
And both the trolley and the conductor would have a little change thing, much like most people remember the Good Humor Man, but these were onboard trolleys and trains where they could make change and sell you a ticket.
Yeah, do you think these were quarters, nickels, and dimes?
Yes.
And what was the other expression for a quarter? Was it 2 bits? I can't remember.
Well, 2 bits.
2 bits, yeah.
Kind of slang, but it was 2 bits.
I don't think anybody would know that today, except people like you and I.
You and I, but not because I ever saw one, John.
I understand. Now this is a mess of keys, isn't it?
Well, they were rooms on the boat. The name of the boat is on the tag.
Oh,
it was the Talbot.
See. Oh, I see.
Okay. Much like the Highlands area, steamboats to New York and other destinations was a very big business. And Keyport building the boats was a big business.
Where did the steamboats come in Keyport? Do you know specifically?
Yes, right next to the Keyport Historical Society at the foot of Broad Street, right where our boat ramp is today.
Oh, okay.
There were 2 docks out there, and again, it was a big business.
What's this?
Okay, this is a carnival right in the middle of town. The building in the back is a town hall. Carnivals were a big thing. Baby parades. The following postcards are a match. Beach Park, where we still have volleyball games today by the Recreation Committee. Skateboard jams. It's amazing how an area that was designed for, I'll say, local entertainment, regattas from the yacht club, is still being used for that today. As I mentioned, we have skateboard contests down there. We have volleyball down there.
And what year do you think this was?
It's got a postmark there.
1908, Keyport, August 10th. Look at that stamp.
This is a baby parade. Was a very big thing. It decorated the carriage and whatnot.
Oh, here's one of the trolleys we were talking about, huh?
Yes, and this is the main headquarters, but right across the way is Beach Park. And there were times, and the adjoining postcard is relevant, there were times they would have to bring 2 and 3 trolleys to the Beach Park area because the events were so big, and the trolleys would pull out of the way on this siding here. Big hotel business in Keyport, as we had discussed. plenty of places to eat, plenty of places to stay.
And the roads weren't paved when the trolleys were there.
Through the heart of the town, there was cobblestone, but in a lot of areas, no, it was dirt.
So this looks really
This
old.
was right next to the trolley picture that you saw in the end there.
Oh, okay. Well,
And they put on plays and whatnot.
My gosh, look at that. Coming attractions.
Yeah. Okay, this was issued by the Strand Theater when you went to the movies.
And this is nice.
It's a functional plate. It wasn't meant so much to be kept, but
Boy, that's pretty, isn't it?
yeah, it was. Or in the case of places that you did go, I mean, who can imagine, and of course you're helping to rebuild this. Visit Keyport. Here's a souvenir plate and cup.
Look at that. And it's a matching cup. Look at that. That goes like that?
Yes. Tea was a big thing,
And this is a demitasse, isn't it?
A demitasse, yes.
As they say. Look at these things.
Yeah.
The Baptist Church, is that still there?
Mm-hmm.
And here is yachting on the Raritan Bay.
Right.
Now,
and our yacht club's got a great history of regattas and stuff, which have been brought back to your other point. Have we maintained some of our, boat races at the yacht club are still happening and whatnot? So
now I see here, and I don't know if this is the only place I see it, but Key and Port are separated. Was it ever separated?
Yes, it was.
So Keyport versus Keyport.
Yes.
It was originally Keyport, or
Yes.
Yeah.
It was based on everything I could find. It was simple grammatics of it was a key port.
Right.
I mean, we were a Kearney plantation, but once we became a more public entity, it's a simple key port.
I have to ask you before you go on.
Yeah.
Kearney plantation, what's that?
Oh, that was what Keyport was before it was.
Now, was it a plantation owned by Mr. Kearney?
Yeah, the Kearney family. Yes.
What did they grow in the plantation?
Well, Keyport was a growing place as far as I know that the one area by Pershing Place today was a lot of orchards and whatnot.
Oh.
Certainly not unintentional because peaches don't grow naturally; they had to be planted.
Do we still have Kearneys in town?
There is a Kearney Street. There are relatives of the Kearneys.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a Kearney, I don't know them, but maybe descendants, type of thing.
Now, what's this? This looks like a postcard to a restaurant.
That is the E Cottage Inn. Unfortunately, one of our casualties from Sandy, but another long-standing icon in Keyport. Keyport still has some great eateries. I know because I eat breakfast in 7 different places 7 times a week. But yes, we do have some great places to eat, and there's something for everybody.
Now, this is a map of Keyport and Matawan.
Yes.
Borough. You and I talked earlier about that. Today, Matawan associates itself with Aberdeen a little bit more than
Yes.
Keyport. Why did they decide to do this? And when did they do this to put a map together of Keyport and Matawan?
This looks like something, I couldn't find it on here, but it looks like the Chambers of Commerce's got together and decided to promote both towns, both business districts, obviously with a map of how to get where you need to go. And they've numbered, obviously everybody had advertisements, and you see Matawan Home Supply over here, and then on your other side you'll see your Maple Place Hardware, and then you'll see your Keyport advertisers. And numbered.
This is the Keyport
Banking Company.
Banking Company. And what is it today?
Wells Fargo.
Yeah.
We have several banks in town, and I'm happy to say that they are very active in the business aspects of Keyport, as they've always been. The People's National Bank was another one. Loaned money to both, new home buyers right after the war, and contributed to the businesses. Some of the graphics that we have next year, that is from the Keyport Banking Company.
1900. An old check. Everybody's signatures back then were so lovely.
Yeah.
It's just...
As well as script writing. Yeah.
It was great.
But again, just showing how the bank supported the businesses. The Brown Publishing Company was, in fact, the basis of the Keyport Weekly, who very nicely has recorded our history, so much detail.
Oh, fantastic. Where can people go to see this stuff? Where can they go to learn more about the history. Is there a place yet where people can go?
Well, right now the Keyport Library offering just the Keyport Weekly and the Mattawan Journal. Again, such copious details. The editors, the Brown family, were very much into the town. And they recorded things in length and detail. Even to, Mr. and Mrs. Smith left to go to Venezuela or something. Really, a lot of our history has been documented in those microfilms. And the Keyport Library makes them available to everybody.
Another check. This was a big amount back in 1956. $494. Keyport hardware.
Yeah. And it was issued to Rollo Trucking. Rollo was a big company. They also ran buses in competition with the trains, but I'll talk about them anyway. You could take a bus right from the Town and Country area in Keyport, where ironically the trolley barn were. See how things just keep getting associated? That's still a major interchange for us. And you could take a bus right to New York or sightseeing for the weekend.
Nice.
So.
All right, we're still in the banking area. Look at this.
Look how much money they had. This is one of their official statements.
Oh, this was a statement of the bank?
From, 1912?
They were $589,000.
$600,000 was their big liability. Today, I don't know if anybody blinks.
Yeah, this was 1912. I mean, one person could have this much easily. Look at this.
It's just those things.
A roll of honor bank. And these are interesting. These are from the Palace Theater. Now, where was that?
At the bottom of the hill in Keyport, right down from the business district. Would have been across from Beatles Hardware area. And again, we have documents that Fred Astaire danced there when he was much younger and not as well known.
Wow.
Got these at one of the antique stops in Keyport.
So could I have one of these and use it today?
No. Oh, you mean to
go see it? Go see something.
No, it costs $9.
It's not there. Well, Palace Theater's no longer there, right?
No, and it's not $2. It costs you like $10 to go to the movies today.
Oh my God!
Some things we didn't preserve well. To your point.
And this. Oh, look at this. This is a bill of sale or an invoice or something.
Yeah, it's just me again bragging about there was so much made in Keyport. This is from a cutlery company. Keyport was very well developed with homes. And people working in all these industries that we've talked about, the ship operation, shipbuilding, the oyster industry. Somebody had to cast and make metal parts to replace this or that. There was just work in your backyard.
And it was, I wonder which came first, the industry or the port, because as you say, it was a key port.
Right.
But usually a port is because it's accessible or it's a hub to get to other areas. It was a train line there. There was the steamships there, and in fact, you could probably ship things internationally. I don't know how deep the port was at that time. Did you have big ships come in?
Well, they were of a draft that they could, the tide that we have, they could handle that draft. But I'm sure these went to New York. I'm sure that people in Keyport weren't the only buyers.
Right.
Schneider Lumber, major company.
Yep.
2 plants, one by the rail yard so they could get delivery in, of raw wood. Obviously sold other things, almost like your Home Depot of today. You see ladders in here, you see doors, windows.
All right, this is, look, you've brought an aeroplane.
Well, I'll say younger folks like me get lucky being in the business. I was a local plumber. One of my plumbing customers had this in his house. Wow. He's Jack Mills. He has since passed away. He donated a fabulous collection of steamboat pictures to the Monmouth County Historical Association. His wife just gave me this in her husband's passing a while ago.
This was nice.
That was one of their symbols.
Yeah.
They had first ticketed baggage, little ticketed for your baggage. Wicker seats on some of the flights.
Now, Aeromarine is I think, a huge part of history in Keyport. Now, what's there today? It was a pretty big factory. How many acres do you think was there?
66 acres there.
And what's there today?
Well, today there's a lot of what you would call mom and pop shops. There's an auto body in there, C&M Auto Body's in there. There's a company in Building D. I know this because I do the maintenance there, some maintenance. Building D makes metal parts that you want. Good.
Now, this is a timetable for Jersey Central Lines, New York Highlands Seashore. Mm-hmm. And this was 1948. I'll have you know I wasn't even born then. My dad had just come back from the war. And he would probably have written on this. Avoid waste, keep this timetable.
Yeah, it was
Even
big army pitch. Big army pitch. Don't waste paper, don't waste ink.
So the train went from Highlands to Waterwich, which is right over here, to Hilton's, Atlantic Highlands, Leonardo, Belford, Port Monmouth, Keansburg, Union Beach, Keyport, Matawan, and then it went on to the Amboys. And then on to Newark and New York and Jersey.
Some trains went all the way through, some you would change and go. And once you got to Elizabeth, you could go to Philadelphia, you could go to Washington, you could go upstate. So.
And you're presenting this little timetable to me, and I in turn am going to present it to the High, and we're working on a museum too, to the Highlands Historical Society. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay.
Now here's something else. This looks like a train station.
This is Keyport.
Look at that. Look at those cars. What's there today?
A baseball field.
This is gone.
This is gone.
Oh, it's too bad.
Burnt down in 1968.
Oh boy.
And it's now a park baseball field named after one of our more famous residents, Marie Cottrell.
Okay.
But yeah, this actually went all the way to the water, and there was a steamboat connection. The railroad had its own pier and whatnot. That burnt in '68. I was lucky enough. My dad saved that sign. I was away in the military. And the borough ordered the building destroyed because it dilapidated. And my father...
And you have this?
I have that big red sign.
Wow. Yeah. That's great. Well, you better return it. It's probably worried.
I would have brought it, but...
No, that's okay.
Here again, just a sample train connection. Now, by this year, the branch to your section was abandoned back to Atlantic Islands.
But Hilton's is still there.
Hilton's is still
and
there.
It says C note.
Yes, but in '58, you were about to lose the branch all the way back, so you're going to have that one too. You'll need that for you.
Yeah, I wish.
And you'll see the advertisement.
I'm getting this one too.
Yeah.
Nice.
See what the railroad was saying on the front?
What? Oh, passenger
service completely dieselized.
Oh, dieselized.
So the other you asked me about.
I got to tell you that is the first time in my life that I have used the word dieselized. Hotels and boarding houses along the Jersey shores.
But sponsored by the railroad.
Yeah,
all your Highlands hotels are in here. Your Atlantic Highlands hotels, the ones in Keyport. The railroad was doing anything to promote its business. And was doing well until, I'll say, automobiles came along.
So it says New Jersey's famous seashore vacation land with its many recreation centers invite you to enjoy the invigorating climate, cooling surf, wonderful boardwalks, recreation piers, splendid hotels, and varied amusements. Here, wealth and fame mingle with beauty and fashion to make a holiday of every day. Don't you feel like that when you live here?
Yes.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Look at this. There's the Sandy Hook steamers, Atlantic Highlands Pier, connecting trains or motor coaches. Wow, that's fantastic. Oh, this is where the trolleys ran.
Yeah, I think this fits in with a lot that you're doing, showing the connectivity of the Bay Shore, not just necessarily Keyport or Kingsburg or Highlands or we were all connected. There was a time where you stayed home. You went to the movies in your town. You bought the lumber in your town. You bought your butter knife in your town. Sure, there was those, but people did invariably want to travel, which is how the marriage with the automobile came about. And they wanted to travel at their own time and their own pace. So railroads became constricted in the train leaves at 8 o'clock, but I want to go at 9. And then at some point, the train didn't go where you wanted to go, or the trolley. But here's a case of the Campbell's Junction is still the big interchange point for the three bus companies.
Sure.
From there, you can shoot down to Red Bank or down to Seabright.
Now, I'm seeing a name here I don't recognize, Lockport.
Lockport was the parallel to Keyport.
And it was another town?
No, it's Keyport. It's just
a village of Keyport.
Well, it's the end of town I live on.
Oh, I see.
The Aeromarine. Okay. The Aeromarine is down this way.
And I see hopping between Belford and Leonardo. I've never heard of that. All of the towns here are really cool, and each town is a little bit different. And it's interesting that even among the people who live in Keyport or Atlantic Highlands or Belford or Middletown, we all sort of have an appreciation for this area. What did you remember about growing up that is no longer here today? What were some of the things that you enjoyed about growing up in Keyport that is gone? I remember you playing tag or playing on the freight train platform.
I just think growing up in overall, but I really think the school years cemented this. This is why you have these great class reunions, and there's people who live in the town. And I'd like to make a point, if I may, here. Yes, people like me are third and fourth generation, but there's a whole new group of people, great people, who have moved into towns like Keyport and Shirley Highlands, and brought back to life garden clubs. There were garden clubs in the turn of the century in Keyport. Obviously, you know, social things, they went away. There's a great garden club in Keyport, which I'm a member, and they've created, when you look at the parades and the events at Beach Park, they've been replaced by garden walks, St. Patrick's Day parades in Keyport. You know, a 2-hour-long adventure. The newer people of Keyport are members of the Historical Society. It's just great.
The Mama Steamboat Company. Wow, look at that. 1908. I think this stuff is incredible. I've been, you know, I hate it when people, like in stores, you know, they see a bell and they have to ring it. They have to ring it. Well, I have not rung it yet, but I'm going to now. Is that okay?
Sure, it's time.
Now, what would I be ringing for now? If I were ringing this the way it was supposed to be used back in the day?
Mm-hmm. Well, near as I can tell, this came off of the Phoebe Elizabeth, a boat built by the Galbraith Life-Saving Boat Company.
Okay.
And this looked more like a pleasure boat to me. I wasn't sure why the Galbraith Company, but maybe they had a side business. A couple of things. You'd either be coming into port, lunch could be ready, around, if you would.
Nice.
This also came out of the auction house. That was $55.
It's got it, really?
Yeah.
This is very nice. I like bells.
Yeah.
Like Keyport. Very nice.
Yeah.
Launched May 13th, 1953. The Phoebe Elizabeth. That's terrific.
Yeah. You know, when we talk about getting artifacts and stuff, sometimes the date is elusive. It's really sweet when it's engraved on the object.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Who made it? Where it went? You know, this is. You get into heaven with these
Now,
things.
this has got to be one of your best items. This.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and put it on.
Go ahead, if you sure. There you go.
It's not, you know, did everybody have smaller heads back then? This is, look at this. This is a what?
Well, it's a fire hat.
Yep.
All right.
And what year do you think this is?
This is early turn of the century. I was lucky enough to get this at a flea market, I think down in Englishtown, long before I even joined the fire department myself.
Look at the eagle right there, and it's so. And this is made out of leather,
yeah,
right?
It's a leather one, yeah. Yeah, it's getting a little dry, but you know, it's always a mix whether you restore something or you just leave it the way you got it, and not being a leather expert.
Now, do you know why? I'm sure you know why, but does everybody else know why the back was so long? So ashes and embers wouldn't like fall down your back and into your jacket.
Water.
And water.
And the spray water.
And spray water, yeah. And I would think the leather would get all crazy.
Yeah, you can.
So what year is this, you say?
I was just turn of the century. I mean, don't know.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. The initials were, we believe, the owner, which I still haven't identified yet, but so.
Now there is a firehouse or fireman's
We have a fire
museum
in Keyport, yes.
And where is that located? Do you know?
We are located at 86 Broad Street.
And how often is it open? When can
it's
people go?
It's open on Saturdays and Sunday, mostly through the season. We do open up for the Monmouth County Historical Association's weekend in Old Monmouth, which is the first weekend in May. Be glad to have people. We do school trips.
Nice.
You can find us on the web if you want to come in off times. We can tour adults or young people.
How can people find more information about the Historical Society? What's the website?
That's an easy one. We'll just go right to the website, Keyport Historical Society. If there's anything we talked about today, you can just go to Keyport online. You can get connected with the business community. You can find places to eat. And if you can't, just ask a question, who do I contact for? Somebody will be more than happy to get you connected with wherever you want to go.
And if you live in Keyport or used to live in Keyport or have a box of photographs of Keyport, the Historical Society would love to know about them. They can either copy them or take them and credit you. And you can contact them at the website, or as always, you can contact me, John-Schneider at Comcast.net, and I'll be glad to pass it along. Well, Tom, I want to thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to go down this trip, memory lane, the trains and the saucers from the movie theater, and the Aeromarine plane, and all the photographs and the timetables. Really interesting stuff. Thank you.
Well, thank you for helping to promote Keyport and the Bayshore.
My pleasure, pal. Well, that's about all the time we have for. It was a great program. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, don't forget, if you have an idea for a program, or you'd like to be on a program because you think you're interesting, and most of you are, give me a shout. I'd be glad to consider what you've got. And as always, this is John Schneider. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. We're rolling, by the way. Because I want to welcome you to Jersey Bayshore Country. This is Tom Gallo. Tom Gallo is. How you doing, Tom? Welcome.
How are you? Thank you for having me down here.
The floor manager, who's invisible, as you can tell. No, I'm just kidding. We don't have to. I'm just warming up.
We're good.
We're good?
You're warming up?
I'm just warming up.
You have a good humor. I'll say this about it.
I mean, I could use this. Sometimes I use bloopers at the end.